I'm greeting you here as a person who designed this space for you for the next 50 minutes. And I was very glad to start our conversation in Ukrainian. It's not about Ukrainian language. It's about the fact that Ukraine is on the global coaching map. And what we are going to discover today is not just the topic about transformational stories in coaching. I can say that this is my passion, which came to the professional way. And Alina decided to challenge me a little bit, because when she asked me to deliver this webinar, I was thinking, how it's possible to explain everything which was related to transformational stories, and especially to transformational stories in coaching, just for 1 hour. Now we'll be having even less, 45 minutes, but at least we will try. And because this format is cross-cultural lunch, I'm inviting you to think what we can cook together. And what we can cook together, and what you can cook for yourself, and how you can taste the transformational stories experience or approach or model I'm going to share with you. And I'd like to have this space as a transformational experience. And I'm inviting you also to share your questions, your thoughts, and your observations, maybe some hesitance you might have. And are you ready to do it? Alina will be helping me, and Alina will be asking several questions we prepared for you. And also I asked Alina to follow with a couple of phrases. Unfortunately, you will not be able to see me, but life is happening as it's happening. And maybe the voice and the pictures and the metaphors I prepared for you would be useful in this frame. Okay, Alina, can you open the presentation?
Yeah, sure. And once more about the technical issues, how we will organize our webinar. Dear participants, you see down on the screen chat. When you open the chat, you will see the options yes, no, or raise a hand. Please, if you have a question, don't be shy to put it to the chat or raise a hand, and then you can ask the question with your voice. I will unmute you. And whenever you have any questions, please, for the technical issues, please write in the chat. I will answer them, and also we will have some full information that you will also see in the chat. And I'm ready to share the presentation.
And also, Alina, Anita, and Alona mentioned that they cannot see any video.
Yes, because there is no video. Unfortunately, we cannot put the video to, Lara with a video. So we will share the screen. We will share the presentation. That you should see it now.
Okay, great. So the presentation I put together is just a frame for our conversation. And the topic is transformational stories in coaching: define, design, drive. Actually, there are three main focus for today's conversation. And it's like the 3 stages. I'd like to go with you, and we will start from the first stage, which is how to define the transformational stories, not just in coaching, but in general. And then what is possible to do to design the transformational experience. And finally, how to drive the transformational stories, not to be driven by the stories. Alina, can you open the another slide, please? Thank you. I'm working with stories. I have been working with stories for 30 plus years or even more. I'm talking about the professional experience, but actually my relatives and my family, my close, the people who are very close to me, sometimes they are joking that I don't need to have a bread. I can be fed by stories. It's true. And ironically, I knew about that, and in some way I didn't know about that. Because when I approached my 50th birthday, I started asking the most critical questions in my life. And I started examining almost everything I achieved, almost every experience I had. And I finally started putting together and creating the new combination of life and professional story. I don't know where you are in your professional career. Are you a professional coach, or you are learning how to become a coach, or you are using coaching as an additional professional experience and professional way? But we will discover. Alina, may I ask you to open the question first and go to the, okay. So now you can see the simple questions, and I'm asking you, just please answer, and we can see. So we have 23 participants, and now 16 of you already answered this question in a few seconds. Okay, if for some reasons you are not answering, that's fine. But now it's possible to see that, oh, more than 70% of today's participants are the coaches. Yes. And 1/4 of this group is using coaching as a part of professional experience, and one other. Thank you, Alina. So what I'm going to talk about today is not only about coaching, it's also about life experience. So for those of you who are not coaches, you can apply this, definitely. And we can close this poll, Alina. Yeah, and please open the next slide. I can tell.
Sorry so much.
Yeah, Alina is busy today. So the question is actually 3 key whys for today. Why now? Why we are talking about stories now? And why we are talking about transformational stories, and why me? I think it does make sense to answer the last question, why me, because Alina introduced me and I added something. But just in case you have another questions, you're keeping in your mind, and the answer will help you to understand, okay, why I need to spend time with this lady talking about transformational stories. You can ask, I'm happy to answer. Why now? It's not only because we are connecting through coaching, and we are having this coaching, cross-cultural coaching lunches. It's because every day almost is bringing a great opportunity to create a new story, to recreate a story, to reframe a story, to discover another story, or maybe to start a transformational story. I don't know how many of you attended yesterday's lunch and before yesterday's lunch, but if you do, yeah, you probably can find some similarities and connections. For example, yesterday, we were talking about multilingual, yeah, bilingual in coaching and in life. Story language is the fifth language I speak. If I ask you, do you speak story language? What your answer would be? Can anybody answer? Just type a short message or raise a hand to say yes or no. Alina can see. Yes. Alista is saying yes. Great. Who else? Irina Levchenko is answering probably no. Actually, these two answers are very obvious and very common. Some people are saying yes, some people are saying no, but I believe that everyone is speaking story language. And this is a language we is growing with. And for some of us, it's obvious, for some of us, it's not. And what we are going to discover today, if Alina can open the another slide, this is the answer. What transformational story is. My another question to you before we start our discovery. Take a note and please complete the sentence. A transformational story is. And I'm asking to do it at the beginning, and I will be asking to check what will be possible to see at the end. Take 1 minute to complete this sentence. A transformational story is. Our lunch is interactive. Also, I cannot see you. You cannot see me, but we can interact. And if someone can add the completed sentence, we can see, or Alina can help us.
Yes, and Lara, I would like to tell that Paulina raised a hand.
Okay, good. Paulina?
Paulina, if you are ready, I can unmute you and you could ask the question or tell what is your sentence.
Paulina wrote story that touch. Great.
Yeah, so for me, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, hello everyone. So for me, how I understand transformational story is a story that touch you and create awareness of something, of topic. And after the story and after the awareness, you are changed and you're ready to do differently a lot of your activities based on the story, based on what touched you, and based on the awareness you receive from the story.
Thank you, Paulina. It's a great explanation, really. And the key word is creating awareness. Absolutely, yes. And also another part of the sentence is a story which makes changes into better, definitely. Any other additions? If later you can add, it's fine. I'm teaching story course at the business school. I'm developing, I'm delivering different master classes and short and long-term program, even online course about stories. So I can say that as many people, as many definitions, as many explanations, and this is the beauty of story life and story world and story phenomena. And Alista add the sentence is shortly is a story which makes change into better, maybe inspirational stories. Yes, inspiration is another keyword. Okay, thank you for sharing what you thought about transformational stories at the beginning, and ask Alina to open the next slide. Yeah. Why a story? Because story is a universal language. Not just universal language all of us are speaking, but this language serves unique life experience. And this is a cross-cultural phenomena that shows up in all contexts: personal, professional, cultural, emotional, educational, business, social. And also, story is a system that exists and acts constantly. If you attended the systematic coaching lunch, you probably remember that we are living in the system world, very complex world. And through stories, we can see this complexity. And every story is a part of the more complex picture. And this is how transformational story topic is connected and related to systematic coaching. Because I can say, if you're working with stories, you definitely are using systematic coaching. Maybe in different way, but it's true. Another point is the story is an invisible force that can propel or block transformational experience. Not all stories are great, not all stories are transformational, not all stories are inspirational. Some stories can limit us. But even in the limiting stories, we can find the place, the way, and the seed which can be used as a transformational point. And another moment which is very important, why we are talking about story, because through stories we can create a creative blueprint that can be used for multiple purposes. So if Alina can open another slide, so there are key sentences I just put. And before we can identify the place for transformational stories in coaching, it's important to define the story phenomena in our life in general. Because we are very often focused on storytelling, story sharing, story presenting, but I'm inviting you to start thinking in story way, or to start developing, or at least to define the story mindset which everyone has, consciously or unconsciously. This story mindset exists, and if we can discover, we can develop the way to the transformational stories. So Alina, thank you. Can you open another slide? I'd like to mention what we are not going to talk today. It's also important just to manage expectations. We are not going to talk how to use stories as a complementary information that you can use during your coaching sessions, like to illustrate or to inspire or to clarify something. We can do it, yeah, and we are doing it, but it's not the topic for today's discussion. I'm not going to cover how to use stories as a communication product to reach your audience for different reasons and with different objectives. For example, like how to use stories that sells. It's very popular topic now in coaching world. We are not going to talk how to create your coaching brand, coaching programs based on your personal stories. It's possible, I'm doing it. But today we are focusing on how to use the stories as a transformational vehicle. So the topics I just mentioned are different, and we can work on them beyond this conversation. But what we are going to talk today, why do coaches might tend to avoid dealing with client stories? Before we are going further, I have another question to you, and I'd like to show the word you can see on the screen. It's Old Greek word storia. Story is a quantum of experience. I like to look at the definition of the words, and story, the word story came from Old Greek language, and it means the experience received by practice. So actually, all stories we have, small or big, important or less important, past or present, or even the future stories we can create, it's a quantum of experience. And this quantum can be very small. It's like one moment, one event, one conversation, or it can be very large. But what is happening in coaching, in the coaching conversation? When you are listening to the story your client is bringing to the coaching session for the first time, what is your reaction? Who is ready to answer? I guess you might be interested to listen to know, okay, what to ask next. What is happening if your client is bringing the same story again? For the second time, for the third time. And what is happening if your client is bringing the story the same or very similar over and over? What are you doing as the coaches? Yeah, the question is arising why he or she is telling the same story. Yeah, why it's important for him. Yes, Alice, thank you. What else?
Also, I will try to notice this to the client, just to make him or her aware that the story is the same story. And
yes.
to try to go to what's the reason?
And what is beneath the story? Yes, Alina, can you open the next slide? And the next one, this is the second question I ask you, yeah? And the third one, and the third question. Yes, but the next, I don't know how often have you heard, but I heard from some experienced coaches who were sharing their experience, and they were saying, don't let your clients to be stuck in their stories. Does it sound familiar to you? Probably yes, maybe not. Just if you can answer, please add several words. Marina, can you open the next slide, please? When I heard sentence like that, don't let your clients to be stuck in their stories, I'm calling it, a story paradox happens. Because on one hand, we like using stories, and we are using stories as a metaphor to explain the client's journey, coaching journey. We like these words. But for some reasons, I was observing what coaches are doing and how clients are reflecting, how clients are bringing stories again, and coaches are trying to keep clients focused on the coaching request, which probably might be different from the stories that would be showing up during the coaching conversations. And this paradox happens in some way. We are trying to not just put down the client's stories, but we are trying not just to minimize, but we are trying to keep clients focused into future, because as usual, stories are about past experience. And stories, this is the way how we construct our reality. Something happened and we create stories around that. But what happened and the story we created is not the equal. We are adding to the facts, to the events, to what we are able to observe or we're able to observe. We are adding our emotions, our reactions, our interpretations. So just fact plus everything I just mentioned is the foundation for the story. And we think that story we created is the reality we are living in. It's true, but it's not true. Because we can give meaning, and that meaning is making our stories powerful, inspiring, or limiting. And if, Alina, if you can open another slide. Stories is always about perception. I am using eyes glasses. I have been wearing eyes glasses since my early childhood, and now I'm using even two to read and to look further. And it's a great metaphor for me because everyone has eyeglasses which we use to observe life and our experience. Coaches are doing the same. Coaches are just human beings. And when clients are bringing these stories, our initial reaction is, okay, on one hand, to discover why it's important for the client, what does it mean for the client, and how to deal with the stories. And the another slide is about all of these questions. What are, Lina, can you open the another slide? Yeah. Not all stories are visible. And the story that clients are bringing might be not the stories, they are being driven. I made this picture when I was visiting my husband's family, and when it was low tide, it was possible to see how the porch can be kept stable, but when the tide is high, I can see only blue water. I cannot see these gains at all. But there are some kind of stories which I can call hidden stories. Yeah, not all stories are visible, and there is a case. One business lady to coaching, and she left one company which was international company with very good corporate culture and with very good processes, structures, etc. And she started working for another company. The culture was different. Environment was a little bit hard and sometimes toxic. And she was leading a very big department, and she was facing these difficulties. Not just how to communicate, but how to be able to communicate in her way, which was different that major parts of her colleagues were using. And she started developing the new strategy, the new template, or the new blueprint for her communications. But time to time, from session to session, another story emerged. And that story is exactly the kind of hidden story. And that story was telling her that she cannot use the same hard approach in communication to be very strong, very focused, because her hidden story she was carrying from her childhood, I'm not strong enough. Lina, can you open another slide? And this hidden story is usual. These hidden stories are not obvious for clients. And the role of the coaches is to be brave enough, not just to draw attention to the client, just listen, you are repeating the story again and again, but to be brave enough to raise the question which probably the clients are not ready to face with. I'm calling coaching as a profession which requires courage. And because I'm working with transformational stories, I'm doing it a lot. And sometimes it's very risky because these hidden stories are being rooted in past experience. And we know that coaching is not psychotherapy, is not counseling. So we cannot deal with past. But we cannot help hold clients accountable and to develop transformational experience when the clients is being kept by the old hidden stories. And hidden stories are important not just because they can bring another level of clarity, awareness, and these hidden stories can change or challenge hidden beliefs. And hidden beliefs are driving hidden commitments. And sometimes I'm saying that we are not always getting what we want, but we are always getting what we are committed to. And when I'm observing that clients is facing this with opposite forces, like the client wants to make changes badly, but at the same time, the client is avoiding to make changes which requires to go deeper and to do more deep personal transformational work. And this triangle, hidden stories, hidden beliefs, and hidden commitments, are working together. And if coaches are aware that it's possible to deal with this triangle and how to do it, we are better prepared to help our clients to move forward. And if Alina can open the next slide, there's another questions, reflective practice. As a coaches, are we ready to listen to hidden stories? Are we ready to facilitate the learning experience? Because through transformational stories coaching, all coaching skills can be applied, from co-creating the relationships and setting foundations, to communicating effectively, to listening not just actively but listening deeply, and listening what was not explained, what was not spoken about, and not just to make judgment, not just to bring coach's agenda, but to be brave enough to invite the client to discover more, to discover, to define the energy which was blocked, kept in the hidden stories, and to show that hidden stories can help to overcome hidden beliefs or to change the hidden beliefs and to create the new level of commitment. Do you have any comments related to this reflective questions right now? If you have, just raise your hand and I will be happy to hear what you are going to share. Alina, can you look at if there are any raised hands? No, I cannot see.
We still have raised hand from Paulina. Paulina, you didn't
Okay.
take away your sign. If you're ready, you can unmute yourself and then ask a question.
Sorry, it's the hand has been raised from before, but I do have a question. So I'm really curious. I'm very impressed about this triangle, the hidden triangle, and I'm really curious from where, as a coaching session, you start in your first coaching session or next coaching session. From which part of the triangle you start? From hidden stories, or from hidden beliefs, or from hidden commitments? And how you know, based on your experience, that the hidden commitments are related to particular hidden story?
I cannot thank you, Paulina, for your questions and reflective thoughts. Actually, as a coach, I don't know. So my role as a coach, to create the space and safety, intimate, trustworthy environment for the client to be able to make discovery. I had a client. She is another CEO lady, and she was running a very big consulting company, and she came to the coaching with the request how to become a better learner as a CEO. So how to become a learning CEO. So, and definitely it was the business request. It was some mix of executive coaching and business coaching, yeah, because she would like to apply what she learned in her company, and how to transfer her learning experience to her colleagues. And we are working for about 9 months. And very soon she realized, I felt this a little bit earlier. So she realized that the personal story would be involved. And when we hit the point about hidden commitment, hidden stories, she has a choice what to do. Just to divide the request, again, to create the new coaching agreement, and to divide the request to work with the personal story or to work with the corporate request, coaching request. As a coaches, we don't know for our clients or instead of our clients. And we don't need to bring, it's always I'm telling to myself, just do your work first. If you do your work first, you can't bring anything else from you, from your story. Everyone has hidden stories, believe me, in some extent. And where to start? It depends on the case, it depends on the relationships, the quality of, or maybe the richness or the complexity of the coaching request. But it was heard during the cross-cultural coaching lunches that almost all coaching requests are about life. Even if it's coming from executive side, business side, or career side, it's all about life. And as my mentor coach mentioned one day, at the third session, all coaching will be about life coaching. That's true, because it's very different to divide ourselves as a business person or as a career builder or as a leader. No, we are human beings first. And also, we are not coaching the problem. We are coaching the people. We are coaching the person. And if Alina can open another slide, we are not coaching the role. And the person who is playing the certain roles, like it was explained during the systematic coaching webinar, we have different sub-personalities, yeah? Mother, wife, community leader, CEO, innovator, entrepreneur, trust builder, whatever. We can see the whole complex, the whole team inside. And the client is coming to us also with all of the team. And the question is where to start. It depends how confident you are while working with stories, and it's actually the main reason why I decided to bring this topic, because I think that every coach has own coaching model, even if we are using the different models we were taught. But what is making us unique is the unique combination of skills, experience, learning modalities, coaching modalities we are able to use, tools. And coaching is a live experience. As a coach, we can be prepared before the coaching session. The client can be prepared before the coaching session, but real coaching happens when the client and the coaches are working together. And I found my way to work with the transformational stories. And it happened not because I was trying to find my coaching model, but this is transformational story model I'd like to share with you, because if you're able to define that there are some hidden stories in client stories, yeah, what can we do with this? We can send them to psychotherapists, or just ask, please stay with your initial request, or just to help them to use the moment when they are meeting with coaches, when they are working with coaches, when they are creating the better results, the better future, the better stories right now. And I'm calling this transformational story model 5C. It happened, I don't know if I was developing this model or this model just decided to choose me. It happened when I was preparing to speak at the big international event. And I was thinking, okay, I was working with stories for a long time. How I can put together everything I know just to show the one picture. And it happened. I show this. It's very old symbol from Ukrainian culture. If you heard about Tripilya culture, it's 1,000 years behind us. And this is the stamp of mastery. This sign means the stamp of mastery, like 5 small I's and the 1 I in the middle. And every time in coaching, it's possible to observe that clients are facing with context, different contexts: professional, personal, emotional, psychological, business, educational, conflict, relational. And this context, it's like flexible frames we are in. Time context, yeah, cultural context. And we have external, what is happening out of our world, and internal, what is happening inside. And when we can start discovering this context, which client is bringing the request, what is the context she or he came from? And again, it was touched during the systematic coaching session. It's very resonating. So this internal and external context are creating some kind of foundation we can start discovering. And then if we can see that client is experiencing some challenges to move forward, and when he or she is diving into the stories, it means this is a signal that there is something very challenging, and it might be not the initial request. The challenge is not the any problem or every problem. Challenge is something we cannot ignore anymore. This is my definition of challenge. And if client is experiencing that there is something she or he cannot ignore anymore, he or she needs professional help, and this help can come from coaching side, not just only from psychological side, yeah, or strategic consulting side, or mediation side. And we can say, what is the challenge? Based on my experience, the biggest challenge is just to recognize that something is challenging us, something bigger, something stronger, something invisible. And then to help clients to see at this moment and this challenge as a chance he or she didn't have before. Like I was working with this executive lady who was challenging herself to become strong in her communications during the corporate events or discussions, board meetings, as a chance to develop something she didn't develop before, because not all environments are friendly, unfortunately. Sometimes it's necessary to find our voice even in unfriendly environment, based on the values we have and the principles, life principles, professional standards we have, and to use the work with transformational stories as a chance. Chance, it's not just miracle happened. Chance at the moment, at the openings to see something which wasn't visible for us. Coaching is about creating new level of, not just new level of understanding, new level of awareness, but awareness, this is the new level of observe ourselves, our behaviors, yeah? And we are helping to do the same for our clients. And if we can go through this stage to use a chance to work with the stories, the hidden story, the discover hidden commitments, and then what is the choice? To keep what we are doing before or to start doing something different. Sometimes we are willing to get new results by doing the same things. It's Albert Einstein mentioned, yeah, and his quotes were repeated many times, yeah. But how coaches can create new environment, facilitating this discovery that the clients would be able to make a choice to go deeper, looking forward. Maybe it sounds like paradox, go deeper, looking forward. This is how transformational story coaching is future-based, but without understanding our past and our beliefs and the way how we are creating stories in our life, and how we can not just reshape, how we can recreate, how we can reconstruct our past stories, and how we can build the new stories based on that. And then if the client is able to discover the external and internal context and to see the challenges and to face those challenges and to use as a chance to discover and to make a choice, to be committed, to work with the stories, not because to be trapped in the past, but because to move forward to the future goals, and then the changes can happen. And this is very brief explanation of this transformational story model I'm using to work with my clients. I'm not explaining my clients, okay, now we can discover context. No, just you can, I can touch this model from any part, like started with challenges and then to ask questions which can help to develop the context, and then to invite clients to discover what are the chances in this situation. Yeah. So just every part of this model is just a guideline to ask questions, and the client is driving the questions coaches can ask, because we are not bringing our agenda. We are creating the space when clients are making their own discoveries. So this is a transformational story model I'm very glad to share with you. And I know that it's not enough time to explain everything, but just to give the idea that transformational story model can work in that way. And if you have some feedback or questions, we have a couple of minutes to complete. I'm very glad that it became possible to share it with you, and I'm happy to answer your questions. Alina, can you?
Yes, you could still ask the question in the chat box, or you can raise your hand and switch on your mic to ask the question by voice.
And maybe when you're thinking about the question, I will briefly share it with experience. Transformational story coaching can happen anytime. It's not always just clients are coming to do some transformational work with their stories. Like one lady, again, executive lady, she was looking for the position advertised by the big international foundation, and she was preparing to her interview, and she asked me to work with her as a coach, just to make sure that she is confident, she is preparing well. And in the end of the third session, when she was looking at her professional story picture, and she was trying to figure out, okay, what kind of experience are the most relevant to the position she was looking for, she came with unexpected discovery for herself that she doesn't need that job. It was a big transformation for her. And she started connecting the stories she didn't connect before. And now she is leading the MBA program at the business school. And she was not thinking about that position that time. And the transformation happened when the clients are ready to openly, gracefully facing with their stories. And I cannot say that story work is a miracle, but it can bring unexpected results, because we don't need more stories. We need more meaningful stories. It's like we don't need more information, more tools. We don't need more meaningful information and more useful tools we can use. I'm using story model because it's natural for me, and transformational story coaching is very close to narrative psychology, yeah? Because narrative, this is a construct we are operating for the whole our life. And there is narrative coaching, but I'm calling the coaching I'm doing transformational story coaching. It came from integrative and story side. So this is what I'm very happy to share with you. Do you have any questions, or we can complete?
Lara, unless we don't have questions yet in chat, I would like to ask you a question, my question.
Okay, please.
You are
please,
willing
Alina.
to answer. What is your transformational story? What is the challenge of your transformational story? Thank you.
Thank you, Alina. My transformational story came from the side, very hidden stories. I'm not wanted. Because there are different topics within hidden stories, like I'm not good enough in many versions, I'm not smart enough, I'm not strong enough, I am not prepared enough, I'm not ready enough. Yeah, not all stories should be very, very, very in very, very our past experience. Some stories can be created recently. Yeah. There are another stories I don't deserve: love, success, recognition. Another kind of stories I cannot win, communicate, overcome, achieve. So this is the stories we are creating around some kind of experience which can influence us very strongly. So my story came from the early childhood. I am not wanted. And when I discovered this, I realized, wow, this is the point why I became so strong, high achievers. Just to achieve this position, to achieve this award, to do that challenging task, it's for me. Why? Because I wanted to confirm other people, yeah, that I'm wanted. And when I discovered that, I realized, wow, it's necessary to connect and to ask myself, I'm wanted for myself. And it didn't happen at just one moment. I was not using therapy. I was using only coaching modalities. And what happened? I discovered the many connections between different professional experience, and the story was at the foundation. This is my transformational story, and I wrote that story and published in the US. It's 25 stories from women from different countries. I was the one from our region, from Ukraine, from the Eastern countries, Eastern European countries, and it brought me to the new way in coaching. That's why I'm here. Did I answer your question, Alina?
Yes, thank you so much. And we have raised a hand from Aiste. Aiste, I will mute you.
Okay. And we still have a couple of minutes. Yes, Alina?
Yes, to Aiste, you are unmuted and
okay.
And we see
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, I will try to be shortly. Thank you very much for really interesting presentation and sharing your experience and stories. And when I was listening your last experience, like last example, I was thinking that, okay, like coaches, people who are working with other people are really consciousness about the situations. And even if we don't like those situations, we are quite intelligent to think that, okay, they are moving us to something better. But how to work with people who are telling the stories? For example, client is telling a story and he knows that he needs to do the changes for better life. He really should do some steps forward, but is scared of those changes, can't find inspiration or more inspiration for that. And how coaches could not challenge, but maybe support more, or just what gentle, I don't know, movements can we do or stories to create to encourage our clients? Thank you.
Thank you for this question. So actually the courage is a mutual courage for coaches and for coachees. Yeah. And my answer would consist of two parts. The first, if coach is aware about her or his stories, yeah. Again, as my mentor coach mentioned one day, every new client will show you the area of your future development. And definitely, because we are learning from our clients a lot. Coaching is a life experience, and we can read great books, we can learn great models, but the real life is more than books, models, and all books together. Yeah, because we are facing the real life, other person, other human being, and sometimes coaches are not so excited about the stories clients share, because at the beginning, I was scared too, because I was not, I didn't know, okay, what to do, how to protect the space and how to inspire clients. Again, do not do the work instead of the clients. The better way is just to gently help, or to create the experiential discovery, like facilitating learning. As a coach, I'm not giving advice like you, but I can ask permission. I can ask permission, and I can ask clients what would be the easiest way to reflect. Some clients are drawing, some clients are journaling, some clients are making short notes, some clients are playing with words. And it helps to detach, because the first point is how to detach from the stories. Sometimes I can ask, can you write the stories not from you, but for example, if you're always busy, can you write the story about your business? It's like your diary is writing the story about you. It's funny experience, yeah, I understand, but it brings lightness to the very significant and scary context. Or how about your alarm? What your alarm can tell about you, or can write story about you, about your busy week, early morning or late evening. And when it happens, the clients are, wow, it's so interesting. They are looking at their own experience from different angles. Or it's possible to ask to create if story. If it would be different, how would it like? And the baby steps, probably the best way to start doing it. So this is what I can say. Have I answered your questions? Yeah.
I guess. Yes, thank you very much. It was really, really inspiring for me too. Thank you.
Yeah. And also the third part is like when we define, when we design, and how to drive. I can give you only the several sentences my clients were sending to me, like, story is mine, but I am not my story. My life is bigger than my hidden story. My story is my gift. Or now I feel that my story is not driving me anymore. I am driving my story. There is no big or small, good or bad, limiting or inspiring story. I can give meaning to my every story. So I think the client's experience are the best way to help them to work with transformational stories. And any story can be transformational. Just change perception is a transformation. Changes happens later, but the first change is the most difficult one. To change perception is kind of changes. Thank you. And the last slide is, Alina, so this is what I just mentioned. And the last one, this is how to reach me. Yeah, and I would be happy to answer any questions if you can send me email, or what I'm going to do with this webinar, I'm going to transcribe and to put the key, the key, not just bullet points, but the key sentences, or maybe explain a little bit more. If you would be interested to get that information in that way, I would be happy to share with you. In that way, I need to have your email, or at least to know that it will be interesting for you. Okay, this is my complimentary additions to today's webinar. It's additional dish I can offer. And if you can give some short feedback, what has changed in your understanding of transformational stories, if it happened, if not, how can you see transformational stories in coaching right now? I would be very grateful. You can type, or you can share briefly loudly. So Alina, can you help me?
Yes, I will help you. Just we have some feedback in the chat already, so I will just read it.
Okay.
So thank you so much. Thank you, a lot of million of thanks to you, Lara. And very
Okay.
enjoyable session. Thank you so much. Thank you for the 5C model. It's very interesting for using in the coaching practice. So I'm joined to this wishes, and I'm joined to this greatness, and thanks to you to share your experience and your transformational stories. And all participants, you can write to the email for your certification, or with any question to Lara, or with Lara direct information. So was happy to see you, and the video will be recorded and sent to you accordingly.
Yeah. Another point from me, I mentioned that Alina challenged me, and even this webinar is a challenging experience because I was going to do it in Ukrainian a couple of months ago, but I was very busy. I asked to postpone, but finally I am doing it in English, and I am doing it in English for the first time. So this is a challenging for me, challenging experience, but I'm very happy that I did it. And I'm grateful that you were with me. Thank you so much. More talks, more webinars, more sharings about transformational stories and coaching will follow definitely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and happy coaching week. We are finished.
Happy coaching week for everybody.